Hi everyone, Justin Banon here, Boson's founder, and I'm very pleased to say I have with me today one of our most highly valued and long-standing advisors, Lisa Gansky. Lisa, welcome. Great to have you. Perhaps we can start. The community have done some investigating and worked out that
Uh-oh.
you're one of our advisors, and you've got a lot of fans out there, as you should have. So I think you've probably got fans in Web1, Web2, and Web3. But why don't you start by sharing a bit about your amazing past, and then sort of what you do to support Boson.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to talk to our community. I've been, of course, involved with Boson since the pretty much the beginning when you and I collided happily. I've been a huge fan of just, what I would call like the shakeups of rethinking our way of communicating and doing business. Since the beginning of the web, our fantasy was that we were creating a level playing field, that there was an opportunity for more fairness, more presence, more kind of regular collisions that would bring artistic talent and real other diversity and value forward. Through the history, as an entrepreneur, I would say that one of the things entrepreneurs need to be super good at is identifying systems in failure, because those are seductive little tasty calls to action for rethinking the way in which we do things. And so for me as an entrepreneur, the compelling, there were so many areas with Web1, of course. We created a number of different kinds of platforms. I went at that time quite deep into general platforms like GNN, which was our global network navigator, and then a search engine and a directory. We did Ophoto, which was the first photo sharing and printing service. So there was a lot of kind of like exploration, took several companies public, had a lot of crazy and bumpy challenges. But as we all know, we were, first of all, met with a lot of disbelief, a lot of people basically saying, this is ridiculous. Well, we'll never do business that way. Photographers, for example, telling me, I would never use digital. I'm a film guy kind of thing. And we see the cycle of things that initially, we come up against a lot of resistance and a lot of disbelief. And also adherence to the way things have historically been. I think for me, going through the cycle of 1, 2, and now 3 with Boson as an advisor and talking with you and some of the team over the last few years has been fantastic, because it's been a kind of a full circle completion, a way to actually deliver on the promise of what we saw in Web 1 that was impossible to deliver. In Web 2, like for me, I spend a lot of my time with platform and sharing economy, looking at how do we use digital capabilities in a physical world. And so with Turo and TaskRabbit and BlaBlaCar and a lot of these different services, I was very seduced again into like, okay, how do we make this be trusted and real? For me, Boson and Fermion, but especially Boson, has been really like a fundamentally missing piece solved. And I feel that, we've gone as Boson over the last few years toe to toe with a number of very courageous early customers who have been trusting us enough to be very candid about how would this need to work for them to be able to confidently bring it to their base, and a lot of those customers who have brands, my little riff has historically been a brand is a voice and a product is a souvenir. in that little riff, the brand, as a, in offering the souvenir, needs to have confidence that the souvenir that you, Justin Banon, receive is actually representative of the brand that we've cultivated and the promise that we've made, as part of what we've created. So Boson for me is, in at least the movie version, and I feel like we're getting very close to fulfilling the movie version, is the chance for us to deliver on and close the loop on that promise. So it's been like a very joyful ride, bumpy at times, like all of these cycles. But I'm very confident that we're so well positioned right now, especially with all of the early work with customers, and frankly, the community has been obviously vital. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, as you know, I mean, I studied a lot of these kind of booms and busts in the kind of masters that I did. So I guess I understand it theoretically and academically. But that's not the same as having been there. And when you're leading an organization such as I am through these huge booms and busts, having someone such as you that's actually been through these, and to the last one, which was the whole metaverse thing, where we were absolutely overwhelmed with demand, but we didn't have the product to service it. And your sort of wise words of capture what business you can now, but you need to focus on getting the product built. And that the bear market, I mean, no one would wish a bear market, but your sort of wisdom is this is your chance to get that product built before the bull market comes back. And we've just been completely sort of focused on that. I mean, of course, having bear markets and stuff is cause for some degree of worry, but we've looked at it as, an opportunity to get a product complete and ready for this sort of next wave. And that has been hugely sort of valuable long view and has guided us. And sure enough, here we are, product complete, with with this new market, starting to really sort of boil.
Yeah, for me, I feel that the vision that the Boson team has had, you leading through, a lot of emotional roller coaster things, but also the when you're doing something that is re-engineering cultural historical preference, and you're looking also at actual infrastructure. That's my way of talking about it has been generally that we find ourselves, I feel that we're very lucky because we find ourselves in this inflection point between no more and not yet. And that's a moment when incredible things happen, right? I mean, we're at the birth of something, and there's a whole cast of characters that are kind of in the mood of, I want to hold on and squeeze all the juice from the no more, and I'm going to make this chiclet last as long as possible. There's a whole other cast of characters of which you and I and the community are members, is that we're trying to accelerate the not yet. And we can squint and see it as though it existed fully. And we have been able to do that for years. But our job has been to kind of quickly erect the scaffolding and then start to be able to deliver not only on the product and the vision, but to create kind of a bridge for key classes of customers, at least, and community members who can actually understand, how to make the leap without looking insane. And so, we cherish the value that people have created in their brands and their reputations individually and as companies or communities. But I feel, and at the same time, our job has been to shrink the gap of disbelief between the no more and the not yet, so that it is actually an infrastructure that is could be trusted. For me, Boson and the way that you and the team have navigated, and I think the community has been very diligent and candid alongside of us, giving very straightforward feedback and engaging in ways that were essential. So I'm feeling that we're in a place where we have some key customers who have been, forward thinking and courageous and put their brand and their mouth where, together and gotten into action with us. But I also, there's some kind of ancillary, let's call, or peripheral infrastructure and momentum that needs to be present, or some big other challenges to the historical infrastructure breaking. And for me, again, as an entrepreneur, I think when systems are in failure, it's a call to action for us. And my sense is that, we're seeing this in general with a lot of uptick on crypto. But I think I saw the same thing with Web 1.0 and Web 2.0, where there's a group of people who are the makers, who are envisioning, who are fantasizing, who are creating the future fiction as real as possible. And then, we jump into the people who are the naysayers, who are the no more, right? Want to hang on to the way it is because it's to their benefit to do so. For me right now, I feel that we're in a place as Web3, as infrastructure, and also in e-commerce at a time when the historical commerce engines are shaky and spurting. And so I think that we're extremely well positioned as Boson with the community, with the team, and with the product, and with some courageous customers to actually now be able to, kind of demonstrate, animate the story that we've been believing for several years.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think, the other thing is, and it's something we've been discussing through this bear market is, the need to take the time to build the infrastructure, because when the market changes and the customers come, all resources will be focused on customer implementations. And it's incredible how quickly that has happened. I mean, literally in the last 4 weeks, now all resource is focused on designing and building for customers, and we haven't yet can't yet announce what we're doing and who we're doing it with. But that changes. So you've really got to lay down your core infrastructure, build your core product, because of course when customers come knocking, you're going to use all resources to sort of onboard and scale. And that we're suddenly in a totally different position than we were a couple of months ago.
So there's so many good examples of this, but basically my way of thinking about it is the very early customers, generally have a high threshold for pain and a good sense of humor, two really important characteristics, in addition to the vision to understand what we're talking about as making happen, right? At some point, and sounds like you're describing that we've hit that inflection point, which is phenomenal and great news for us, that the customers arriving now have a different expectation. And that means that that's a signal that's really important, that we've hit a different level of maturation of the market, so that it's not just customers that are like visionary and willing to take an edge case and try it with us. At some point, you hit that inflection point, and now people are actually ready to start commercializing, using this infrastructure. And so, to your point, it's not, it's not something that can work inconsistently. It needs to be a consistent, trusted framework and infrastructure and set of tools that mortals can jump in and start using, and people will actually be able to build on and trust. And we've seen that with, all sorts of things when it comes to, for a good example, payments, and, how payments have evolved with the ability to, do more and more seamlessly with a click, with a facial recognition, with using back-end third-party core infrastructure that you as a consumer or customer never see, maybe don't even know about. And so these the sort of ease with which these things are now happening on, for example, the payment side or security, with passcode and different things, is just a big evolution. And I feel that Boson and what you just described sounds like we're hitting the inflection point for us with G-commerce to move into that space.
Yeah,
which is superb. I am, understanding a lot of times people underestimate the impact and the growth and the speed for, from Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. I saw the same theme through each of these cycles. People are first in disbelief, and then they're like, yeah, well, some fringe cases, sure. And then suddenly it hits an inflection point and it becomes table stakes, right? Everybody needs to have a website. Everybody needs to have commerce. Everyone needs to be, and pick any industry. You can see how it ripples through. I sold a photography company to Kodak at one point, and I had just come back from Nokia with a prototype of a VGA camera in a mobile phone. And, in 2001, Kodak was just like, it's crappy images, who cares? It's like, yeah, it's crappy images in 2001, but give them 2, 3, 4 years. It's going to be amazing. And you're going to have a remote control to your life. You walk around, you're constantly with your phone. People are going to use film. So like as an example, there's a business model where George Eastman, just the guy who started Kodak, decided to take the money on the capture side, which is the film, and to make all his money or Kodak's money on the capture side, and to create an entire decentralized or just at least distributed network of retailers that did the printing, that did the part that didn't actually get consumed by mobile phones and other things and digital photography. So, Kodak placed a bet a long time ago, had an 85% margin of profit on film, but then film went away like that. And so we're finding also that there's a lot of businesses that are need to or are worried or thinking or modeling, what's the impact of G-commerce to us? What does Web3 mean to us? Because when it hits, it could actually cause a significant inflection that we're running from behind, trying to ring fence some form of value capture that we didn't anticipate. So I also feel with Boson that there's a lot of opportunities for customers in different industries to be actively playing in our sandbox, trying to at least anticipate what other partners they need, how would they create their product, how would they price things differently, what would their fundamental offer change, for people like you and the team and the community, myself, we've made our life doing those sorts of things. But for a lot of people who grew up in an industry that has pretty much been fixed, the muscle memory is missing. So I also think Boson is just a great invitation for people to come and to be able to imagine, what could e-commerce mean to us? What would it look like if this actually happened in a jewelry business, in an auto business, in a designer clothing business, and whatever, pick something.
Brilliant. Well, thanks again for joining me, Lisa, but more importantly for sharing some of your wisdom and insights with our broader community It's a real privilege to have you as an advisor, and I know we're both really looking forward to this next year, sort of, on this roller coaster that is Boson and Web3.
I have to say one thing. Thank you so much for the invitation, and thanks to the community. If anyone wants to chat, it would be lovely. But thanks to everyone, especially you, Justin, leading the charge for your tenacity, your patience, and your vision. That I think has, things always take longer than we want them to, but I'm confident that we're in such a great place. So thank you for inviting me into Boson and to have the conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa.